Central New York, and hello, hockey fans all across the internet, and welcome to the Central New York Hockey Report podcast. I'm your host, Scott Kinville, and boy, it's been a while since we've all got together. Unfortunately, sometimes, life, schedules, work, all that just happens to get in the way sometimes. And that's what's happened for the past couple of weeks. But you know what? Here we are. It's a Friday afternoon, and we want to talk about a little bit of hockey. So, of course, we all got back together. So while we're waiting for Jordan to jump in, I am going to bring in our co-host, our producer, our man of the hour, Mr. Dave the Save Warner. I know you've all missed him. Dave, how are you?
Yes, they've missed me.
They have.
Geez. I love it.
I tell you, I'm pretty excited.
Why?
Yeah, some new digs.
Oh, well, yeah, it's coming up. Coming up.
Tell us about
next month. So next month, we're going to have a new studio location. People may not notice. I mean, unless we radically change the background and things like that, they probably won't see a lot of difference, but I will know the difference because the lighting will be better and everything else. And yeah, it'll be great.
Well, we'll probably have a little more room.
They'll know we'll have a lot more room. They'll know because behind me will clearly look a lot different. I don't know what it's going to look like yet, but
really?
Right now you've got curtains and a chair and some lights back there. And, but yeah, I don't know. I have it in my head.
But it's not going to look different behind me.
The background, you've got the gray carpet on the wall right now kind of thing, but, I don't know what that's going to look like. I've been shopping. So looking, not sure yet. I've got to get into that space. I tried to last Friday night and it was a little weird.
Yeah. Well,
so I, I just want to sit there and here's your word of the day.
Oh boy.
Cogitate.
Cogitate.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So give me the definition because
I have no damn idea what that means. No, just think about the space and what it looks like and how things would lay out and stuff like that. So yeah, cogitate, I guess that's a good one.
Wow.
I was just using that on you. I'm wasting time till Jordy comes on. All right.
Yeah,
I'm just BSing.
I came on here to talk about hockey and I got cogitate. It's like the Island of Misfit Toys for the Merriam-Webster Dictionary. Okay.
Yeah, I do think it's a word.
Okay.
You never know with me.
No, you don't. You really don't. You're right. You're absolutely right.
It might not be a word. We'll wait till we see the comments on Facebook.
Well, yeah, that too.
And then you'll have to deal with it.
Well, you know what? I've done that before too. So, oh boy,
I could all make them talk about Boca Chica. We could go from that.
And Boca Chica, that's that new restaurant that opened downtown, right?
No, that's Tacos Mocoria.
Okay, well, that was close.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy. Well, anyways, yes, we do plan on doing our show from our new studio right here in Little Falls, down in Canal Place. As a matter of fact, it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah. Are we gonna do a April show?
Yeah,
about
of course
hockey?
we will.
What are we gonna do?
I don't know. We'll figure something out.
All right, that's good.
And we'll do it. We'll make sure that Jordan has no technical difficulties.
We can't fix his end. That's all I'm saying. It's not on our end.
Yeah, well, it is what it is, I guess. What are you going to do?
I mean, like I said, a school like that ought to have decent internet in every room.
Well, it probably is. It's probably user operator error.
That's that I would agree with.
Yeah. So
how about those Bears?
Yeah. Well, the Hershey Bears, they're the AHL defending Calder Cup champion, right?
Yeah. Or the Statesmen.
Oh, that too. Well, I'll tell you, we might as well start talking a little bit of college hockey. We're
I
waiting
know.
for them.
I was giving you the lead.
Yeah, you are. You know what? You are like Joe Montana with the lead pass.
That's it.
Yeah.
So you're streaking down the field at about 2.5-3 miles an hour, and
if that.
Yeah, if that. Then I'd hit you.
Yeah, that was if I just had a cup of coffee.
Yeah, really. Oh God.
Yeah.
We missed this.
Yeah, there you go.
I had to dig for it. Yep.
Yeah. So anyways, we're going into this weekend, the Utica Pioneers and the Colgate Raiders women's hockey team, both in the Frozen Four.
I know. It's cool.
It is. I mean, I'll tell you, people don't realize just how good the hockey here is in Central New York. They really don't.
Yeah. To see all those names.
Yeah.
Up there. Yeah.
Exactly. Hamilton College, both the men and the women had a great season.
Yep.
The women made it into the NCAA tournament. Unfortunately, they got eliminated. It was by Adrian in the semifinals. But hey, you know what, though?
Adrian's a good team.
Adrian's a very good team.
Yep.
So you know what? No shame there. And I tell you, the Continentals, they're a team that's on the rise, I think, as far as on the men's side. They looked real good in the NESCAC tournament, and I think you're going to see good things out of them. And I tell you, the Colgate men, oh my
Yeah.
goodness, they were the third seed going into the ECAC
And you're talking
tournament.
hockey instead of basketball too,
I
right?
am.
Yeah, you could be talking basketball
We
right
could
now.
be. It's
Yeah.
it's a great time to be a Colgate Raider fan.
No kidding.
I tell you.
Yeah, they're down there in Tennessee, ready to play.
Yeah, ready to rock and roll.
Yep.
Go Gate. But yeah, the Colgate Raiders. Just to recap here, they went to the ECAC tournament as the third seed. They hosted St. Lawrence for a best 2 of 3 in the quarterfinals. St. Lawrence was the 7th seed, and St. Lawrence upset them. Take nothing away from St. Lawrence. They played a great couple of games. Their goaltender, Ben Cross, was awesome. I was there for game 1, and he really was the reason that they, kept him in it and ultimately won in double overtime. Boy, that was a surprise too.
Yeah,
I was there covering that game, and we're like, oh, we're going to overtime.
Oh, geez.
Nothing's resolved.
Yeah.
And now I'm starting to think, I'm like, wow, because I got like an hour and 15-minute drive to get home.
Yeah, I was going to say,
like,
and I got this long drive home.
There's got to be somewhere I get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Right. And they're telling me, they're like, well, Stewart's closes at 11. I'm like, oh. Somebody score.
Please. I need coffee.
So you'll be glad to know, after cutting 3 people off in the parking lot on the way out, I did make it to Stewart's on time to get coffee.
Awesome.
And I made it home all right.
Yeah,
so
good deal. I'd be worried about finding a bathroom between there and here.
Side of the road's fine.
Yeah, not at that time of night.
Nah, you know what? It's been a long time since I've done anything like that, so it's all good. No, but anyways, so Colgate was eliminated there, but Carter Gylander, who was on our old show a couple of years ago, if you recall, he signed his professional contract with the Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, nice.
He's going to be going out to Grand Rapids of the AHL on what they call a PTO, which is what they generally do when you first come right out of college.
What does PTO stand for?
Professional tryout, and there's also ATOs, which is amateur tryout. It's basically the same thing.
I thought PTO was part-time offer.
That too. But no, there you go. No, that's generally what they do with players coming out of college, and then eventually he'll sign his entry-level contract. Okay. And but no, good for Carter Gylander. Super nice guy, nice guy.
He was, yeah.
And just
or is.
Yeah,
still alive.
Still,
right?
Oh, yeah, still. Jeez, tough crowd here. You were just waiting to do that.
I could get some zingers in.
Yeah, it's all good. Yep. It's all right. I understand. So anyways, so Carter's gone. We'll see what happens with Colgate next year, but that'll be next year.
Yeah.
For now, let's talk this year. And the Utica Pioneers. I tell you, I'm going to preface this by saying nobody, and I mean nobody, including Coach Heenan, expected them to get this far this year.
Really?
They didn't. They were such a young team
right
this year. Over half the roster was either first-year players, transfers, new faces. And when you have that much roster turnover, it makes it can make it difficult.
Yeah.
And of course, the Pioneers and their fan base are so used to the Pioneers just
winning all the time. Yep.
Rolling through everything, running the table, that, going into the season, it was a little apprehensive, right? Because people were like, oh boy, well, we got all these new players.
And they were doing so well.
What's going to happen here, right?
Yep.
And hey, look at that. He's popping in.
Well, he's trying.
Just in time.
He's not in yet.
Well, okay. Well, I'll keep talking then.
Yeah, keep talking.
But no, when you have that many new players on the roster, it makes it very difficult. And there he is, Jordan. What's going on? So,
nothing much. Just computer issues as always.
We'll bust your chops about that afterwards. Right now, I'm starting to roll here, so I don't want.
He's on a roll. Don't mess him up.
So,
I know how to get Jordy going.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Well, it's the little things.
Yeah.
Anyways,
this little thing.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
So Jordan, I was just saying about at the beginning of this season how nobody would have expected this Utica Pioneers team to be in the Frozen Four, given how many new faces were on the roster. Over half the roster was either freshmen or transfer players. Even Coach Heenan said, after they won the UCHC championship, there was like no way that anybody said that they were going to do this. So are you going to be the outlier and say, oh yeah, I was expecting this all the way from the beginning of the season?
Don't lie now. You're on tape.
I had no clue they were going to do this, but in hindsight, everything was there because going into the season, you could see the kind of player Gary wants. Because he's been there, he's recruited that. He's done this for so long. He knows what he wants. He knows who he wants. And you can see that as the season's going on that he got exactly who he wanted.
Yeah, Absolutely. And, I do remember in our preview show, the one thing we talked about with this roster was we noticed just how big the roster was. This was
Yeah,
a team that was not comprised of small players at all. And this was a Pioneer team that could play any kind of game that was presented to them.
yeah, and even just looking at how they've progressed through the late season. I mean, the early season it was rough, but they can mold their game to whoever they're playing. You saw it against Plymouth State. Plymouth State came at them hard when they were playing teams that struggled to come at them. Plymouth State came at them hard, and they handled it a lot differently than the beginning of the season when they're playing Adrian or when they're playing the U18 team. And you see Gary's system in motion like you didn't see it at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. And honestly, and we talked about this a long time ago, you take that U18 team or that game and just throw it out the window because it was preseason. And let's face it, the U18
Those kids were good.
I mean, you're talking about a lot of first round draft picks on that team there.
They were good.
So forgetting all of that, you could see that very early that this team was going to be a very character laden team. I mean, you got Adrian coming to town right off the hop, and Adrian was ranked number 2 at the time. Don't forget that. First game out, 0-0 tie. They're like, oh, well, maybe that's just early season. Who knows? And then the very next afternoon, this young Pioneers team wins in overtime against Adrian, right? And so then the following weekend, Stevenson comes to town, which everybody forgets. Stevenson is no pushover by any stretch of the imagination. And then the team just started to gel from there.
Yeah, and Stevenson's always been a team that's had our number, and they've always played us close. I think I said around that time that Stevenson always knows exactly how to play against our system, and they always give us a run. It's like when you have a team from the lower part of the division, like this year it kind of turned into Alvernia, come in that you don't expect that can almost blow you out of the water if you don't pay attention.
Yeah, that's a very good point right there. And, in going through the preview for the game, yesterday, they had won 18 in a row up to that point. They hadn't lost since December 9th.
Wow.
And that was at Oswego. So to say that they put together a pretty darn impressive run, especially in the second half of the season,
That's a good run.
that's I think that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and through that second half of the season, especially after they came out of the winter break, you just saw that this was a team that was way different than before. They're moving with the system. They knew where everybody was going to be, and you saw less thinking and more just quick, go, go, go. And it resulted in everybody clicking from the older guys to all the freshmen.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I talked to Coach Heenan after they won the UCHC championship, and, he had a very good point. When, you look at the Pioneer teams of the past couple of seasons, it was a very veteran heavy team. There was always a big veteran. As a matter of fact, it was, last year, I think it was like 75-25 in percentage point as far as veteran as opposed to new players on the roster. Whereas obviously that flip flop this year. And I asked him about that. I said, geez, how did you do this? And he said, when you have a younger team like this, these guys don't know that you're supposed to, blow these other teams out of the building. They're going full bore, and that's not to take anything away from the teams before. But I think sometimes when you get into a veteran heavy situation, they kind of like, okay, we can let off the gas here a little bit. These guys, we should beat these guys, no problem. Whereas these young players, they don't know the difference. They just want to run through a brick wall every single game.
Yeah, and you kind of saw that. And I've said it a couple of times during the season to a bunch of people that when this team started getting things done, you saw that young team energy. You got guys that Murph was a different animal this year, and he was always bringing energy. Christian's always bringing energy. And even some of the younger guys that you were like coming into the season going, I wonder who this is going to be. A lot of them brought that same energy, and it just kept setting everybody off.
Yeah, I'm thinking guys like John Gott, Matt Wood. Yeah, he had 5 game-winning goals.
Yeah, he did.
I mean, that's incredible. But yeah, I mean, overall though, what a team-wide performance. And of course, once they get past the UCHC, it was almost like it was deja vu, right? They get the first round bye, and everybody's singing, "Oh no, not that extra week off again." But this time, instead of New England coming into town like it had been for the past 2 seasons, it was Plymouth State who came in with a pretty high pedigree, given the kind of offensive, almost like pinball like numbers that this team was capable of putting up, and they held them to 1 goal.
Yeah, and I think part of that's a testament to how good Ethan Roberts really is. I mean, even the game against Hobart, if you take away those early goals that I don't think anyone was expecting Hobart to shoot like they shot, because even watching it, that is the hardest shooting team and the fastest shooting team they've seen all year. I can say that from an off-ice perspective. And if you take away that rough first 5 minutes, everybody was in that game. It was winnable, but I think they came a little starstruck. And
Maybe.
I don't really know how to word it. It's just weird.
I will say this, that is one heck of an experience for a very young team to make it that far. For a lot of these players who it's their first year. So you might be right in the regards of, being starstruck, but man, they've got this experience out of the way already.
Yeah.
So going forward, I mean, they make it back there next year. It's like, okay, we've been there, done this. Now it's time to take care of business.
Yeah. And they might think that, like you said, Jordy, barring those first couple of quick goals, they were in that game. Next time around, they'll be a lot stronger because of that.
Well, it's not only that too. You're right.
Yeah.
But that second period, Utica was the better team.
Yeah.
They were. There was no, I was able to watch it, stream it. And other than having to watch because Trinity has that net all the way around the ring.
Yeah, I hate that.
Which I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, somebody please put a camera underneath this.
Yeah.
But anyways.
But then the camera might get broken.
Yeah, well, don't worry about that. It's the Frozen 4.
Yeah, put a GoPro there or something,
Should have sent you out there.
I couldn't handle it.
We should have sent, you know what?
I could have done that.
Next year.
That's it.
Next year. Well, we should get a pool going. How many times he's going to hit that button?
I will tell you that is now more times than any other show ever.
I know. That's the problem with taking a couple of weeks off. You had it all built up in him.
Well, that and who knows what else.
Yeah. God only knows what he's drinking in that coffee for this.
Yep.
But anyways.
It should be wine or something. Yeah. Man.
But yeah, so anyways, I mean, obviously Hobart got the early jump in that, the game yesterday, and then Utica came back in the second period, was the better team. That third period was pretty even. It's just they just couldn't get that tying goal. But Hobart is such a strong team to basically have a 2-1 game right up until the end. There's certainly nothing to be ashamed of in losing to Hobart for starters. And to keep that game as close as they did, it was really a testament to just how strong this team was this year.
Yeah, and even looking at the game before when they played Plymouth State, it's like you said, we were all looking at each other going, is this another UNE? And even Cameron Patton, who's with them now, came in and I'm like, we're getting a former player. I don't like this. But they showed up and they showed out immediately. They were in their element. And they pressured them harder than most teams did to that point, because I feel like they had a very easy late season. No problem. They're moving the puck, they're setting up, and they're taking their shots. And Hobart wouldn't let them do that, and that's burned us in the past, not being able to play our game the last few years.
Right.
And they were able to mold, unlike some teams have been able to do. And you saw that in the second period, because they came out and they were a team built to just rush. Small chance, come back. Another rush, small chance, come back, especially with that, I call it the grinder line, because that's what that was last year, of Murph, Gut, Wood, was built perfectly for that.
That almost sounds like a lawyer firm, doesn't it? Murph, Gut, Wood.
No, Murph, Gut, and Wood.
Yeah.
Yeah.
LLP.
Yeah, LLP. Right.
But there it is again.
Yeah,
there it is.
Baby.
But yeah, you're right about that Plymouth State game. I'll tell you, what that Plymouth State game actually kind of reminded me of? The second Rocky Clubber Lane fight in Rocky 3. When Rocky just came flying out of the corner to start the bang, 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 bang. I'm like, oh boy, here we go.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, I mean, but overall, what a job in regards to not only molding the young roster, but getting everybody to come together. And Coach Heenan touched on it after the win against Plymouth State. Brian Scoville this guy just deserves so much credit for what he did. You know, he was actually, you know, kind of in the shadows past season or two, you know, behind your Justin Allens, your Jason Dobe's, Connor Fedorik's, right? And now he got a chance to shine. Coach said he didn't play the power play at all last year. And now look he led the team as a defenseman, led the team in scoring, shots, plus minus, power play goals, you name it, he led.
Yeah, and for the last couple of years, I've kind of noted like Scoville's in the back, but I was like, he can be really good. And you put him on a line with Barr, who is at first more of I feel like an offensively weighted defenseman, and then he's kind of molded into a two-way guy and play both sides. And I'm just watching Scoville throughout the season, even early on. You know, as soon as that stick went up on the power play, you're going, well, he's getting the puck. It's going to be on net, and it's going to go in.
And it's going to come in at about 200 miles an hour.
Yeah. Every time somebody got hit, whether it was one of our guys or not, I'm going, I almost feel for that guy.
Good way to put it. Very good way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, and it'll be interesting to see because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but next season, I believe, is the last one where players can use a fifth year if they so choose because of the whole COVID adjustment thing.
Yeah.
I think that is. And if that's the case, I wonder, you know, who's going to, because really looking at this roster, I think there's only like 5 senior/graduate students. So there's not going to be a lot of movement on this roster. Now, what could move is very significant. Obviously, Scoville, Jacob Rowe is a senior. Let's see. I'm just going through it now. Dante Spagnuolo, you know, he's a graduate student. So, you know, he's gone. Christian Acosta, he's a graduate student. So he's gone. And Kimball Johnson is a senior as well. But other than that, everybody is still eligible for at least one more year. And I mean, if not more, in the case, half the roster, but still, this is, they're set up for success.
Yeah, and you look at Gary's found those lines already and who works well, because that's what a lot of the season was chemistry issues with finding who works with who. So now you kind of know what your first line's going to be, having Vitale and Morse on the sides of Brolt, having Herrera line up with Vladdy and ADR, and like your gut Murph Wood line. Those are going to stay pretty much the same. There's not much change. Your defense will have to shift a little bit. And you're not losing any goalie depth. So they're built very well.
Yeah, they are. They really are. And, you know, all the way through, because if you look, you know, in goal, I mean, Ethan Roberts, you know, he's a sophomore. He transferred in from St. Thomas last year. Brian Landsberger, who I think deserves a lot more credit for this season than he got, to be perfectly honest with you. And you know what? This is a guy who you really, what a team player he was, because you look at it, he was the starter last year, right? Roberts comes in and basically takes the role over, but you know what? Landsberger didn't pout. He didn't cry. He stuck with the team through and through, went 9-0-0 when he played. So certainly you could say that he was a huge part of that success, because let's face it, being a backup goaltender is probably one of the hardest jobs in hockey, because you have to be able to you know, because goalies are dependent on that rhythm, you know, of being in that groove. And as a backup goaltender, you don't always get that. So for Landy to do what he did, very impressive. He's a junior. So, I mean, that tandem, as long as he stays, is going to be intact. And, you know, obviously there's been no indication that he's leaving. I'm just saying that, you know, as it stands right now, next year you got Roberts and Landsberger back.
And not only that, you watched Lansy last year, and they would do Erob one game, Lansy the other game for the later games against UCHC opponents. And I get why you're keeping both of them fresh, and you give both of them time. And just watching them off the ice or like on the bench or whatever, this goalie room seemed very, very close. More than I feel like I've seen on the ice recently. Like you see them do the goalie hug after every game.
Yeah.
And after every, like when I think it was in the Stevenson games or the last Adrian game, you had Erob have 2 malfunctions with equipment. Lansy just hopped right in. No problem. Didn't let anything in.
That's exactly right. And that's just a testament to preparation right there too.
Yeah. They're both very good goalies in their own ways, and it's hard to have one good goalie, let alone two good goalies, especially in D3.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So no doubt about that. So looking ahead to next season, again, like I said, most of the roster is intact already. Going to be a few changes schedule wise. So Geneseo is coming into the UCHC. I actually think that that's a very, very good thing for Utica. I think it's a great thing to have a team that's on their level to have to compete against for that UCHC title.
Yeah, because you look at it, as much as I give props to Stevenson and how good Naz was last year and how good some of those higher teams are, no one's necessarily on that next level. You haven't had someone like that since Elmira, and Elmira
Right.
left years ago.
Right.
So you utilize a weaker schedule, and now you have someone good coming in, plus you have Brockport that you're like, okay, so we kind of got to take these guys seriously. And it'll be a very good test in the conference schedule because that's been a big complaint is weak conference schedule. Well, you're getting a better conference schedule and you're getting a more open games for non-conference, which Gary loves to stack those non-conference games.
It's a smart move too. If you can use those the non-conference games to prepare your team playing against better teams, you obviously do it.
Yeah, and you see, like year over year, they've done a lot too, and they're not always playing the same three tough teams. I mean, you do see Adrian a lot, but everything else, even the teddy bear toss or the tournament for Thanksgiving, there's always somebody different, always somebody new. Every year, there's always one or two teams I'm like, we've never played them before. What are we going to get?
Right, right. Which keeps it very interesting. But I got to tell you something though. I would absolutely love to see, like, for the Thanksgiving showcase, have it be like a Central New York Cup. How awesome would that be?
I was thinking
Utica,
that'd be
Hamilton, Morrisville. You could put Oswego, Cortland, whoever.
Awesome.
You could even, you know what I mean? There's Hobart, Skidmore, right down in Saratoga. You know, there's so many possibilities, and how cool would that be?
That would be amazing because there's so many teams that could be good and be in that tournament.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Even Geneseo, but I mean, you're already talking about a UCHC
Yeah.
opponent, but and they've been in it before, but still, just the possibilities are endless, and just how cool would that be? Like, you know, I wish I was, you know, like rich enough to be able to sponsor something like that.
Is that what it takes,
I
really?
know.
Is it a sponsor or?
Well, no, I mean, you know, I mean, obviously, if you're a sponsor, you don't get to say who gets to play in it. I mean,
Well, no, but I mean, is it a money issue or is it?
for me, it is.
I'm not asking you to sponsor it. I'm asking about why doesn't it happen?
Why? I'm sure scheduling has a lot to do with it.
Okay.
Mhm.
You know, especially in regards with with Hamilton, because their season starts so much later than everybody else's.
Why
So-
is it?
Because that's a NESCAC rule.
Okay.
So the NESCAC, the conference that they play in, will not overlap seasons. Like from fall sports to winter sports
Oh, I see.
to
I
spring
see.
sports.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why. So with them, all the fall sports have to be over before the winter sports start. Whereas just about everybody else, they don't mind overlapping and this and that. So let's see. Oh boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh geez.
Here we go.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, here comes
Start
Jeremy.
it.
Here comes Jeremy. Creating controversy already. I wish I'd known he wasn't at work. I would have had him come on the show.
Yeah.
You know?
There's a lot of little things that
I
stop
was just
that
gonna
from
say,
Yeah,
happening.
there's a lot of
it's the
little
little things. Tom Wilson
Maybe
says hi.
Yeah, I was going there.
Oh yeah. Oh god.
There it is. Oh, I miss that. I miss
We
that
miss
so
this.
much. I do.
Oh,
do.
we need him back.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna wrap up here in a second. Any closing thoughts on the Pioneers?
Not much other than this team has come so far, so fast. And as much as I love this team, I hate to see Christian Spagnuolo and any other guys go because watching him the last Plymouth game come out and do one last little lap reminded me of last year, and I went, "Oh no, I don't, I can't see that."
Yeah, that's the tough part about college hockey. You
Yeah.
know, eventually they're going to go. And Jerry, you're right. Cannot wait for next season. Absolutely agree. So before we go, though, I do want to give a quick rundown here for the Colgate Raiders women's hockey team. who are also in the Frozen Four. We were talking about that before you got here, Jordy. They're out in Durham, North Carolina. They're playing tonight against the defending national champion Wisconsin Badgers. Number 3 against number 2. Very tough game. let's not
little Badgers are little bastards, aren't they?
Well, yeah, boy, especially if you corner them. But no, this is going to be an interesting rematch because if you recall, it was Wisconsin that knocked off Colgate in the NCAA's last season.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, this is going to be good. And I'll tell you, it's funny with Colgate. They're almost the polar opposite of Utica, whereas they're a very veteran-heavy team. So I won't say that this is their last kick of the can because it's far from it, because even though they have a lot of veterans, that Colgate team is stacked from top to bottom.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that, but I'm just saying that for players like Danielle Serdachny, Sydney Bard, New Hartford native Sydney Bard, this is her, last hurrah right here. She's a graduate student.
Different team though than last year. Better.
You know what? They're a little bit more dynamic if that's possible.
Yeah.
Sydney Morrill, who was a transfer from Ohio State, real defender, she has added a whole new game. I mean, let's put it this way. That Raider defense core was loaded to begin with.
Yeah.
Between Bard, Allison Simpson, and then all of a sudden here comes Sydney Morrow, and she led the defenders in scoring.
Wow.
So, and if you watch her, what a skater, just a very smooth skater, phenomenal at breakouts. So it just adds a whole new dimension to not only 5-on-5 play, but the power play especially. But like I said, now you're into the nitty gritty. Wisconsin tonight, and if they win, they will play the winner of the Ohio State Clarkson game on Sunday. So this is the final weekend for college hockey here in Central New York. This is it.
Yep.
I mean, it's almost doesn't seem possible. We've been talking about college hockey in Central New York since September. That's when Colgate started, right? So yeah, I mean, it's just too bad. I mean, that I obviously I couldn't go out to Hartford. Couldn't go out to Durham, I wish I could have, but being an adult and work commitments kind of prevented that. I got to retire. I told you. I got
to do this for fun, right?
And
this is just work. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But anyways, but no, best of luck to the Raiders because, like I said, in putting together their run, and by the way, they won their 4th consecutive ECAC title, and with as much of a powerhouse conference as that is no easy task to do at all. I mean, I was out there when you beat a team like Cornell 4 times in one season, which is what they did. It's incredible because they beat Cornell in the ECAC tournament, and then they faced them again in the quarterfinals of the NCAA tournament. Cornell is number 6 in the nation, by the way, folks, and they beat them 4 times this season.
Yes.
That is incredibly difficult to do. And by the way, if they play Clarkson again, they beat Clarkson in the final of the ECAC tournament 3-0.
Wow.
So, and don't forget, they also played Ohio State this season. They split the opening series.
Yep.
1-1. So, you know what?
Anything's possible.
Well, not only is anything possible, there's a very legit chance that there could be an NCAA championship coming down to Hamilton.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
That really would. And I'll tell you, it's so happy. I would be, I'm so happy for the whole team anyways, for the success they've had. But just to see all that, and Coach Fargo, who's been such a underrated coach in his career down in Colgate, if you ask me, and to see him get one, because I'll tell you, Coach Fargo's a great guy.
Yeah.
He really is just awesome. Every time, you ask for availability, he's no problem.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of coaches are like that. Don't get me wrong, but like I said, I'd like to see, him get his chance in the.
You're sucking up for a last-second interview, aren't you?
I don't need to though. No, I got. This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But no, that's so. Tune in Friday tonight, 7:30, ESPN Plus, I believe that is on, and yep. And then, of course, the final is Sunday at 4:00 should they win. So best of luck to you, Colgate Raiders. Go Gate. And, of course, congratulations to the Utica Pioneers on a wonderful season. And, man, I tell you, can't wait till next season.
Yeah, always.
Absolutely. All right. Well, Jordy, I hope you had fun out there in Hartford. Did you get to see any of the sights when you were out there?
Not really. We just took a straight shot up, immediately went into the game that had way too relaxed security, and then went straight back here because we got home at like 10 o'clock.
Yeah, well, I bet you didn't know you were in the insurance capital of the world. You could have gotten a good deal when you were out there. Maybe you ran into the guy. Okay. All right. Well, that's all we got. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on the Central New York Hockey Report podcast.